Your rental just cleared $400 this month. Then the HVAC does. The repair quote is $7,500. If you've got $10,000 set aside, that's an operating problem. You write a check and you move on. If you've got $500 set aside, that's a financial emergency. You're calling a credit card company, or worse, a relative. Same repair, same property, two completely different outcomes. That's what reserves do. A rental doesn't need cash reserves because something might go wrong. It needs reserves because something will go wrong. Today is how much cash to actually keep behind a rental, what it has to cover, and how to build it without guessing. Here's a mistake almost every new landlord makes: confusing positive cash flow with spendable income. The property nets $300 one month, $450 the next, $375 the month after that. It feels like yours. You move it to your checking account, but there's no reserve balance sitting behind that property. Part of that money was never really yours to spend. The roof still has a remaining life. The HVAC will eventually fail. A tenant will eventually move out. There will be vacancy. There will be maintenance. There's probably an insurance deductible out there with your name on it. Reserves are what let you absorb those costs without every single one becoming a crisis. Let's stay with the property we've been using throughout the series. Purchase price $165,000, renovation $25,000, rent $2,050 a month. Mortgage, taxes, and insurance about $1,280 when we started. We projected $500 a month in cash flow. Real-world maintenance, vacancy, and management ate into that fast. Now picture this. The reserve account has $1,500 in it. The HVAC fails. The quote is $7,500. Where does the other $6,000 come from? That question needs an answer before the system breaks, not after. If it were one of my rentals, I'd rather sit on more cash than I need for a while than run it lean and hope nothing breaks. Once I had a year or two of real numbers, actual repair costs, actual vacancy, actual surprises, I'd adjust from there. If the systems held up and the repairs came in under budget, I'd ease the target down. If the place kept surprising me, I'd push it up. Real ownership data should always beat a guess, but you don't get to wait for the data before you build the cushion. You build the cushion first and then let experience refine it. A reserve is cash set aside specifically for the property, so an unexpected expense doesn't send you into a credit card, your personal savings, or a rush refi. It needs to be liquid. Its job isn't the highest return, its job is stability. You'll hear rules like keep 3 months of expenses or keep $10,000 per property. That's fine as a starting point, but a new condo and a 100-year-old house don't carry the same risk. And a property with an 18-year-old roof isn't the same bet as one with a new roof. Build a reserve around what can actually go wrong at your property, not a number you found online. Break it into 5 buckets. Operating reserve. This covers the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and basic maintenance if income stops. Say your property needs $1,700 a month to keep the lights on. 3 months is $5,100. 6 months is $10,200. Ask yourself, how long could I carry this place with zero rent coming in? If the honest answer is about 17 days, your reserve is too small. Turnover. A single move-out can hit you with paint and repairs, cleaning and leasing fee, and a month of lost rent. Easily $4,500 in one shot. If your account has $2,000 in it, you're already behind before the new tenant signs anything. Major systems. Walk the property and price out the roof, HVAC, water heater, and appliances. Not whether they work today, but how old they are and what replacing them costs. A 12-year-old roof and a 10-year-old HVAC and an 8-year-old water heater aren't emergencies yet. They're a bill with no due date, and that due date is getting closer every year you own the place. Insurance deductible. Know the number on your policy. $1,000, $2,500, more depending on the claim type. That's cash you paid before insurance contributes $1. And normal wear and tear usually isn't a covered claim at all. Insurance was never designed to replace a maintenance reserve. Legal and tenant costs, non-payment, lease enforcement, and an attorney letter, a court date. It's rare, but expensive when they hit, and they tend to hit at the same time everything else is already going wrong. Stack those up for one average rental, $1,700 a month in monthly expenses, a $4,500 turnover risk, and $2,500 deductible in aging systems, and you land around $12,000 to $15,000. A newer property with a new roof, new HVAC, and a strong tenant can reasonably run lower. A 70-year-old house with old plumbing and a thin cash flow deserves more. Build towards that number with the cash flow itself. If the property nets $350 a month and you're $8,000 short of target, redirecting that cash flow gets you there in under 2 years. Slow, but the property gets stronger every month it happens. And don't count things that aren't actually reserves. A credit card is access to debt, not cash. When the repair hits, you're paying the bill plus interest. The security deposit isn't yours. It's held under rules that vary by state. And next month rent will cover it. Only works until next month rent is late, too. Before we get into how this plays out in real numbers, grab the free seminar survival guide in the link in the description below. It'll help you spot when a seminar's rental example quietly leaves reserves out of the math to make the returns look better than they are. Here's the insider breakdown. What they showed you. A rental cash flowing $500 a month. Clean, simple, and convincing. What they leave out. Whether any of that $500 is actually being set aside for the roof, the HVAC, or the turnover that's coming. A roof doesn't send you a monthly bill. That doesn't make it free. What you actually need to know. Ask directly, is this $500 net of reserves, or is it $500 before the property's real obligations get paid? Those are two very different numbers wearing the same label, and only one of them tells you what the deal actually performs like over time. Here's how you find your own number. Write down 3 months of operating expenses, one realistic turnover cost, your insurance deductible, and the largest repair you can reasonably expect in the next few years. Add them up. Compare that total to what you actually have set aside right now. If there's a big gap, you know exactly what needs attention. And remember, normal events cluster. A $1,200 plumbing repair drops your $6,000 reserve to $4,800. A $3,200 turnover 3 months later takes it to $1,600. Then the HVAC fails, and the $7,500 quote lands on an account that can't cover a tenth of it. Now, none of those 3 events is rare on its own. Stacked together in 1 year, they'll wipe out a reserve that looked perfectly fine on paper in January. Plan for the bad stretch, not the average month. If the property can't cover its bills, handle normal maintenance, and gradually build reserves, that's a signal. Not necessarily to sell, but to look hard at the rent, the financing, and the purchase price. A rental that needs your personal paycheck every time something breaks isn't performing the way you thought it was. Reserves protect you from the big expenses, but a lot of the rental owners underestimate something more basic. What the property costs every single year just to own it. That's next. If you want the full breakdown, the actual worksheet for building the reserve number, deal by deal, that's inside the vault. And if you haven't already, grab the free seminar survival guide in the description of the link below, so you can spot when reserves quietly disappear from a seminar's pitch. And as always, subscribe to Seminar Insider for real estate education without the seminar pressure.